Word to your mother, boys and girls. It is your boy Sniper West coming at you with another episode of the Wizard Sports Lair. And today is January 28th, 2026. And we're going to be talking Super Bowl and some Wizarding School, how the lines move, where they're going to move, in our opinion. And I am here with a couple of my esteemed colleagues. And one of my mentors over here, the Wiz, is with us in person. We actually did a video earlier today that you can go check out on the YouTube channel as well, just about me and the Wiz's early thoughts on the Super Bowl, which I'm sure Tom and Dave will touch on as well here. But let's go ahead and introduce everybody. I guess age before beauty. So we will we'll go ahead and start with the Wiz. Wiz, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing really well from the Wizard's Lair.
Awesome. Beautiful. All right. We got Tom McCreena, a.k.a. Rye Cape, over here in the left-hand corner. I got the Brady Bunch here. So, Tom, how's it going over there in Philly? You still fighting to get out of that snow?
Yeah, we got a lot of snow. We might have more coming. But either way, it's an exciting weekend for me. NASCAR unofficially starts this weekend with the Clash, and we have golf this weekend, so I'll just be home watching sports.
There you go. No Super Bowl, but hey, it's all kinds of stuff going on. We have UFC. Obviously, the UFC event is in Australia this weekend, which is going to be kind of cool because we'll probably wake up and have fights somewhere around 8 a.m. in the morning, right, Tom? Those days are always it's long days when you start out with the UFC first thing in the morning. But in the bottom right-hand corner, we have Mr. David Delano, the pride of Houston, Texas. And yeah, Dave, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, man. Kind of crazy football season. It feels like we were just talking about the opening season predictions, and now it's coming to an end. But still, a lot to happen, man, with basketball and hockey and everything else. So excited to be here. Excited to be with you guys. Had a great show last week. Looking forward to another one.
Yeah, awesome. And don't forget to go over the website, wizardsportspicks.com, the number one sports consultant in the industry, might I add. We do have a fantastic leaderboard over there so you guys can see who is hot. And you can go ahead and tail some fantastic handicappers over there, aside from myself and Tom McCreena and David Delano. We have Brian Bittler over there. He's always killing it. Our mutual friend, Matty DeLuca, a friend of Wiz and ours. And, all kinds of great handicappers over there. So go ahead and get yourself a package. We are going to be adding more sports soon. I had a couple conversations with the staff over there at Wizards. So it looks like UFC and soccer, maybe even golf and NASCAR might be on the horizon, which I know is music to Tom McCreena's ears over there. I'm sure he's got a big smile. And but let's go ahead and start with the Super Bowl. Let's start with the Super Bowl here. So Wiz and we already kind of talked about this, but we'll touch on it with you guys as well, Dave and Tom, just to kind of see what you feel about the Super Bowl and everything. So this line opened at 4.5, and it has not really moved. It's still at 4.5, across the board. Pretty much every book here in Vegas. Do you guys think, and we can kind of tie this into Wizarding School as well, would you guys have opened this line at 4.5? What do you feel about it? Because I kind of thought it'd be more like maybe 3.5. That was my original thought. Do you guys feel the bookmakers did a good job setting this line?
I think when they give a 3.5 number, they're kind of tempting you. So it seems to me like they're taking a side on Seattle here, going with the 4.5. The Super Bowl's tough. I don't know that we're going to see a lot of movement on either side or toe. I think it's going to be pretty close to what it opened is.
Yeah, actually, for me I think I sent you right after. I'm actually looking back to the old message. I said Seahawks -6. So interesting, you said 3.5. I guess this is kind of in between where both of us said. I actually thought the Seahawks will be a little bit of a larger favorite. But one thing with the Super Bowl, I mean, it's going to be the most bet on event of the year. So the line's already always going to be sharp. And I think a lot of people with the Super Bowl, you're going to see a lot of those bets come in later. So I don't know if too many people have a stance on it. And when you look at that 4.5, it's not really a number that forces anybody to rush to bet it.
Yeah.
If you have a 3 or something like that, if you're trying to get it before it goes, or even if you have a 3.5 and you like the dog, you're trying to get that hook. But at 4.5, I mean, if you wait and it goes to 4 to the other way, or 3.5 the other way, or goes to 5 or 5.5, it's not not really huge key numbers, so I don't really see there a reason for people to really jump on it at that number right away. But when it comes to the Super Bowl, I don't really worry too much about where the public money is because it's just one game. I really usually like I don't want to get ahead, but I usually like teasing the Super Bowl because it's so the lines are really so sharp that the points one way or another can really help you out.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you, David, about not having to make a move now. It's time to wait till the end of the week of next week. I was telling Wes today, if New England, let's say the weather wasn't like it was surprising to everybody that the second half was played in a blizzard. And you can't do anything. The cleats don't take to the grass, stuff happened. You can't, there's no offense. It's just a throw out. But I was telling Wes today, so I had all my computers set to, I like to strike early, right. As the game, they post the line before the game was over. So I'm looking for a 3 or a 2.5, which I know I'm never going to get. I'm never getting that. I'm ready to bet 3,000, 4,000 on 2.5, 1,500, 2,000 on 3. But the question I have for you guys is, let's say it was a dry course, fast track in Denver, and the score was 30-26, right? Right now, the perception is different than the reality. People always see what they saw the last game, especially in the NFL. It's not for long, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, if it was a high scoring game and New England, they both scored New England scored points on Denver's defense, that line might have opened up at 3 or 2.5. Maybe I would say 3. But because it was such a lopsided Rams Seattle offensive explosion and no offense and a horrible offensive game, you're going to see that hook. You're going to see that 3.5, 4.5, 5. I'm even predicting it can go to 5.5, 6. More than it'll never go to 3. Never. Unless there's an injury. It's more apt to go to 6. Of which case, then New England becomes a possible value play, so to speak. If right now at the lines, I don't think anyone could have a solid opinion right now today based on the lines. A real solid, I'm going to say, will you bet 2,000 on the game? Nah, it's the line is they're keeping it 4 and 4.5 and juicing the lines one way or the other just because they want to balance the books. It's a dead number. 4.5 is a dead number. So it's one of those kind of strange lines that you don't see every Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. When we did the show earlier today, Wiz, I agreed with you. If it were a high scoring game and you saw a lot of offense and flashy stuff from New England, then it probably, I think I said 3.5 earlier on the show with you, but no, 100% agree with you. And this kind of leads me into, our Wizarding School topic. How do these odds makers set the lines? What do you guys think, Tom and Dave? Obviously they have algorithms, they have models, they have all sorts of technology these days, computer systems, whatnot, that Billy Walters introduced many, many years ago. But do you think these odds makers, is it more of a feel thing for them, a gut thing for them? Or are they really relying on the analytics, the algorithm, the model? How do these odds makers set the lines, fellas? Let's start with Dave.
I think a lot of it does with algorithm and analytics, and I know we've just messing with it with the NFL a little bit, but I've even surprised myself in the amount of time I've been doing this, that how often even a random college basketball game, if it's teams that I follow, where I'll think of a number before I look at it and how many times it's almost right there, and just to kind of tell people like with KenPom. If you go through those KenPom ratings and you look at KenPom generates, people talk about models, but they'll predict the scores for each game. Obviously, they're not going to be exactly right all the time, but a lot of times those numbers fall pretty much right on line where that is. So I think a lot of it is, the algorithm, especially for those smaller games. And like Wiz said, when you have a NFL game, a Super Bowl like this that so many people are going to wager on, I think that having a dead number is a smart way to go. Because if you put a 3 out there, most people are going to go out there and you're going to get a ton of Seattle money. If you go with 6 right away, you're going to get a ton of Patriots money early. So having a number like 4.5 like that, it does balance things out. And when you have a Super Bowl or the NFL, I think that they put a lot more into making sure that you get equal action on either side. Because we could talk about a lot of times when, the public, which way the public's betting. But if you got Southeast Louisiana playing Houston Baptist, I mean, they may be wrong. The public may win, but the book, they don't really care that much. They care about, Seattle, New England, Seattle, the Rams. Those are the Alabama, Tennessee. Those are the games that they want to, where they really care about where the lines are set and getting equal action.
Yeah, they're only going to let you get down a couple of grand on Houston Baptist anyway. They're not going to give you 50,000 on that game, right?
If that, right?
So Dave did say something for all you novice bettors out there. So Ken Palm, he's referring to Kim Pomeroy, who is a statistician, a college basketball statistician. He has a website called kenpalm.com. I highly recommend it if you guys are getting into handicapping college basketball. All sorts of statistical data. It goes back to 2002, I believe. But it'll give you each team's, their pace, their tempo, what they like to do, whether they like to shoot threes, whether they like to play defense. It's a fantastic tool for college basketball handicapping. For those of you that do not use it, it's pretty cheap too. I think it's only $10 a month, so it's highly worth the investment. Tom, what do you think? How do these odds makers set the line? I think also too, I think we have a delay on Tom for some reason. It's 5 or 10 seconds if he doesn't answer right away. But Tom, what do you think, Tom? Is it more algorithm or is it more gut with these odds makers and how they create these lines?
Yeah, I think it's more like Wiz said. It's more of what we saw last week. So people are higher on Seattle. They're going to set the number better in Seattle's favor. You assume that the public thinks that this number is too low for Seattle. So yeah, I think it's a good number. I think the reason they do that, especially in this circumstance, is because they have a feeling of where the public is going to go. And then they go from there and setting the number at 4.5.
Yeah, and another thing that Wiz and I talked about on our earlier video today is betting splits and public consensus. I know we've talked about this before, but I have a couple different sources as far as the handle on this game, the as far as the money percentage per ticket and per side. I know you have some bookmakers out there in Atlantic City that you actually talk to and have relationships with, that's pretty good for you, knowing what they might need. But how much do you guys buy into this? Because VSiN service through DraftKings, where DraftKings gives you their handle and their split and whatnot. I know Covers has polls. I know Wager Talk, they have their polls. Do you guys buy into that, or do you really think that sportsbooks are going to tell you what they need and be honest about it?
Well, I think one thing it's good to collect a lot of different information. So if you were just going off of one source all the time, but if you do know people at a couple sports books and then you're looking at various websites, maybe you're looking at 3-4 different websites, you're talking to bookmakers, you'll probably see a little bit of a consensus there. If you got 4, or sometimes you'll start to see public money all on one side, and sometimes it can contradict a little bit much. So if you're looking at different sources and you're kind of getting the same story, I think you could definitely take it as useful information.
Yeah. Wiz, you were kind of telling me earlier that you don't care. You don't care what the public's betting. You don't care what the books need. You have your number and you like your number, right?
It's just from watching a lot of games. It's just, I've been doing this for 60 years. And I mean, even longer, as a kid watching football and betting, you just, believe it or not, I don't even look at stats. It's crazy. I go by instincts and feel. I can set a line. College basketball is a little harder. NFL is only a certain amount of games. All of us are going to come with a range of. You said 6, David. You made it 6.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would have made it that high. I mean, I my range would have been 3.5 to 5, but that's why I got 5 computers looking to see if I can get a 3 or 2.5. I couldn't. But there are times I do. I mean, there are times I do. So everybody's different. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat, right? There's, it's like I was telling Wes today, I have a futures on I had 2 futures, New England and Denver. So I was going to come alive. I had 25-1 on New England, 20-1 on Denver. And my other futures was the Ravens. So they're out. So now if I had it on Seattle at 25-1, now I could have made a move on New England with the points. Now I can't, right? So I have to root for, I have New England at 25-1. So I'm not going to bet Seattle, and lay 5.5 and they win by 3 and I lose both bets. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But, so a lot of these books have big future actions. Like I know one book, the Red Rock Casino with Durango. Yeah. They have this one guy killed them with Seattle. And he's sitting with a $50,000 100-1 future with Seattle winning the Super Bowl. So now they have to work that into their money. Like, they're exposed. They're exposed. The guy's already cleaned them up for 50,000 at 20-1 to win the NFC. I mean, the guy's cleaning up. He's all in Seattle for big money. So now every book adjusts depending on so many different variables, even prop bets. Mm-hmm. Like they look at the basket. And they see what we got to do to figure to get out of this or to get ahead of the bet in public.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned prop bets, and I know you're a big fantasy football player, Wiz. So, that's got to help you as far as it goes for the Super Bowl props, because I'm sure you probably had some Seattle wide receivers in some of your fantasy lineups. Same thing with, the other side with New England. So you probably know, the running backs and receivers pretty well. So I would think that kind of gives you a little bit as far as, what props to take over unders for running backs and whatnot.
Well, it's the hardest bet to be successful because you really got to look at the matchup. You got to look at past performances. There's so much that goes involved. I may make 2 prop bets at the most for good money, but that's like the game itself. I don't know if I could play the game. I don't know if I'm going to give out a selection on a game. Right now, if you told me, I'd say pass. I don't have an opinion. It's hard. But I might have a really strong opinion on a prop. And money is money, right, guys? Don't matter where you get it. You give out a winner or a loser. Yep. It doesn't matter what it is. So I'll look for right now, I'm thinking prop.
That's really a great point, though. You mentioned passing. Because one thing that I think is interesting, and I tell my father this too a lot of times with these, when we go on these shows and even how we're talking now, everybody wants to talk about, everyone obviously wants to hear our Super Bowl pick. It's almost like you feel everyone needs to give out. You have to give out some type of play or plays on the Super Bowl. But throughout the course of the year, it's probably going to be 500 other plays that you probably will like better than this one. But it's the Super Bowl, so this is the one that people care about.
Look, I'm not a professional handicapper on sites like you guys are, but if I was, I wouldn't give a shit. I'd say no play. I'll give you a prop. I got one prop. Money is money, right? Doesn't matter. You cash, you cash. I personally don't know how you can have a really strong, like if I said to you, Tom Macrina, you got an opinion on this game? Prove it to me. Put 1,000 on it. Show me you have that strong a conviction. I don't know how you can have a real, at this point today, something may hit you in the next. That's why, to your point, David, you don't have to bet this game today. It's stupid. Why? The line ain't moving anywhere. It's not. No. Where's it going? You don't have to prove yourself to be a genius to put up a game right away.
I mean, there's a reason with this. You could go in to any sports book today and tonight and say, I want to put $20,000 on Southern University against Mississippi Valley, and they're not going to take it. But you could go anywhere, put 20 grand on Seattle or New England today, and
put $1 million. You could put $1 million. Barstool Sports guy could go and put $1 million on a game.
Yeah.
They'll gladly take it.
Yeah.
They'll take it.
Yeah, I have a feeling. Portnoy is probably betting New England. But yeah, no, you bring up a good point, and I've looked at this game, and I could make a legit argument for the Seahawks to cover. I could make a legit argument for the Patriots to cover. I could make a legit argument for the over, and a legit argument for the under. Like literally every single way.
Now, I want to see if you have the guts. Like, if this is your feeling next Thursday, and you're going to put up a Super Bowl pick, will you put up a? Right now, my opinion is you have nothing. I ain't betting what you're saying because you have nothing. Right today.
Today I have no feeling.
Okay, so like because you have. Like, let's say a handicapper does not put up a pick for the Super Bowl.
Right.
Right. I mean, literally, I would respect that.
Yeah.
I would respect that because I would say you're different.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're really standing pat on your feeling and you take a pass. I mean, that because a pass is as strong as a play.
Definitely.
In my opinion. So you look for something else. You know, on Wednesday, you don't got an opinion. So now you dig into a prop and that's your play. That's what I would do as a sports handicapper. If I would not do it to prove myself to have a winner. Like because that's integrity. And that's what sports handicapping sites lack is 100% integrity. That's why I love what we're doing. Because I won't accept anything less than integrity. There's no bullshit on our site.
Yeah, 100%. That's why we're all over here. That's why we have a fantastic group of handicappers over here as well that Wiz has assembled. And, going back to saying you not losing. So the value, it's all about value, right? And we can all argue that not losing is almost more important than winning, right? I'll repeat that. Not losing is almost more important than winning because of what? Because of the juice. Because the juice will eat you alive, right? Because 2-1 is better than 3-2. 3-2 is better than 4-3. 4-3 is better than 5-4. Why? Because that VIG will eventually eat you up, right? So what about you guys? Tom, do you have an actual lean on the game? I know we kind of talked about it a little bit. And Dave, I mean, do you said the line you thought would open at 6. So obviously I would think that you would lean Seattle at 4.5. Tom, do you have an actual lean, like total or side?
Well, I also have a ticket for Seattle to win. I have that on a parlay, and that's my. So I'll be rooting for that. I think early lean would be to Seattle here. I just think they're the better. The one thing I do like England Patriots is that there's not a lot of experience, Super Bowl experience for either of these teams, but Mike Vrabel has been in a lot of them. So that's your team. But,
good point.
Yeah,
very
I'm
good
in Seattle right now.
Solid.
Yeah. Dave, you have any lean at all?
Well, one thing I usually like teasing the Super Bowl, and I actually like even Wiz. I know we talked about it last week when he successfully was talking about teasing through 0. I like to take Seattle to win, which would really give you Seattle at plus 1.5, and then take them over 40. I like that angle.
I could buy that bet. But you see, you're being creative. You're out of the box. I like it. Just like last week when I gave that teaser, that was an unusual play. Middling a teaser, and getting 3.5 with Seattle on the back end. It was the hook, the half that made me want to really like that play. I buy your play, David. I like that play. The over and under is it's so you're going over 40. You're going over 40, so you like that better than under 52.5.
I do. I think that even though I would think it will go under 52.5, I could see more ways that it goes over 40 than I could see it going over that 52 more ways than I could see it falling under that 40.
I like I like the play. I could see the play. Now, would you give that out on your site?
I would give that one out. I'm personally gonna be on that. So yeah, that's one I would
I like it.
I would do. I'm just concerned with, and I know you can only strength of schedule sometimes it's a tricky thing because you can only, especially, I mean, you're 14-3, you can only play who's on your schedule. So it doesn't mean you couldn't have beat better teams, but I mean that New England dead last in strength of schedule, and they've gone through some terrible quarterbacks. Like I said, you can only play who you play, but they've had some terrible quarterback play that they've gone against throughout.
One game for all the marbles.
Ran through it. They ran through it in the playoffs. They beat good teams.
Yep. One game. Clear weather. Drake May, Vrabel, good positional players. You know, anything. The Super Bowl is a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right, Tommy. They play good teams, and you can only play who you play. I mean, the fact that CJ Stroud looked like he didn't want to win the game, I mean, I guess that's not their fault, but you know, it happened. That doesn't mean that they won't win this one. They didn't have to go against Bo Nix. I know Bo Nix, a lot of people say isn't that great anyway, but yeah, there's always the case on both sides. So
yeah, you know, there was the whole narrative that the Patriots hadn't played anybody, but they had no problem moving the ball against the Texans. The Texans arguably were the best defense in the league, maybe up there with Denver. So, you know, that really made my eyes open in New England a little bit. Let me ask you this. So we're talking about
in the first half helped though.
Yeah, definitely. All those interceptions and stuff help too. But let me ask you this. So we talked about teasing, and Tom says he has a parlay. I want to ask two questions. Number one, how many legs is your parlay, Tom? You said Seattle's the last leg, right? Okay.
Seattle's the last leg. Would you Celtics? That was one of my legs. I just had it Seattle on one night. Yeah.
So you had like a Seattle Super Bowl bet on the future with just like a couple random games?
Yeah, it was just 3 random games and then the Seattle. I just said extra juice.
Okay. So here's my question. So here's my question, Tom, and this is a great question for the group too. Would you consider hedging and taking the other side just to guarantee a profit?
I'm not going to. I think I'm going to be all right. I like to let it ride my style.
So you only need Seattle to win, though, right, Tom?
It
doesn't matter how much.
Yeah, I just need them to win.
Okay, that's a good position to be in.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing with parlays, and I don't do parlays very often. I discourage them to a lot of, you know, people that follow me or buy my plays. It's hard, and Wiz, you know this. It's hard enough to win one damn game. It's this betting thing is super hard. Just winning one game, you can even lay some juices, you lose. You know, it's just frustrating sometimes. So, but I will say, if you do parlay stuff like this, especially with futures, you put yourself in a pretty good opportunity. Maybe especially like, you know, if you're holding like Wiz, what's your odds on the Patriots?
25 to 1. I didn't make a big bet. I bet $100. So, you know, I don't, I just didn't make it, you know, so it's not even, I'll play if I have an opinion. It's if it was like $1,000, now we're talking about, I couldn't do anything anyway. If it was 1,000 on Seattle at 25 to 1, I would make a move. I would hedge. And to try to middle, I would take points or something, you know?
Yeah. Well, you can win both tickets that way. If you had New England plus the points in Seattle, like let's say you had Seattle 25 to 1, you could take the points with New England and you could possibly win both tickets. It's a great position to be in.
But I can't do anything now, but it's $100 bet. So it's, to me, the amount of money that I play, it's just, you know, it's like it doesn't exist. It's there, but it's not going to affect my playing of the game if I have an opinion.
Yeah, there you go.
And I won't. I would look for a good college basketball game and get Seattle a pick 'em. But the problem is, I don't like betting college basketball because you get 4 points. for me, I'll get 4 at -110. If I get 6, I'm going to lay 140. I don't want to do that. 135, something like that. It's so I prefer the David's play. It's taking Seattle and then the under, like that, over the 40. That's much more sensible within that, in that bet. That's more sense, because if you lose the basket play, you're dead. You already, now what do you do? What do you do?
Yeah, well, Super Bowl's still about 10 days away at this point. We're recording this, as I said, on January 28th, 2026. The Super Bowl is February 8th, I believe, so a lot of time. And it'll be interesting to see if that line moves, and if it moves the direction that we think it will or won't. A lot of time still, but we do have some more shows coming up on Friday. Wiz and I are going to do another show. We're going to play Guess That Line as far as props go. We're going to try to guess the lines. I Scout's honor, I will not look at any of the lines. In fact, they started talking about the props on one of the podcasts I listened to last night, and I purposely turned the radio off because I knew that Wiz and I were going to guess that line, so to speak. We'll be doing that on Friday. We will be back with another episode of the Wizards Sports Lair next week. Scott Steen will be back hosting. He had a late thing come up and was not able to be with us today. But that's pretty much it. You guys have any thoughts on the way out?
I think this is a great show. I think it's because it's just, we're talking gambling. We're talking about the psychology of gambling, and we're talking about guys that we're all knowledgeable. We've been in the game. I would want to listen to a show like this. There's no bullshit here. There's no bullshit. It's straight, gamblers talking gambling.
The only thing we're missing is a bar stool, a bar, and 4 beers. That's about it, right?
Well, I just finished my martini.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. You're halfway home. All right, guys. Well, don't forget to go to the website, wizardsportspicks.com. Go ahead and get yourself a package. You can get my package, plays, Tom Macrina, a.k.a. Right Cape, David Delano. And you could check us out on Twitter or X as well, at the Sniper Picks is myself. Tom Macrina is at Right Cape, David Delano at Get Sports Strong. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this video as well. It does help our analytics. And we will be back. We'll be doing some more. I do the Friday Beyond the Lines. Don't forget to check out the channel because we have videos coming out every day. We're going to be having a lot more videos come out soon. We are going to flood the algorithm with content. That is our plan. So until the next video and until next week, as far as the Wizards Sports Lair goes, we will see you guys next time. Peace out and keep firing.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.